Do you know what the biggest obstacle is between you and financial freedom? It's not the size of your salary. It's the survival mindset that makes most people work just to pay bills. Every month, it's the same thing. The money comes in, and in a few days, it's gone. The rent, the groceries, the credit card, and when you realize it, you're already waiting for the next payment. But let me tell you a truth that Robert Kiyosaki always repeats. It's not how much you earn that matters, it's what you do with what you earn. Most people believe that salary is for spending, when in reality it should be the tool to build wealth. While some work to survive, others use the same money to buy freedom, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. How to transform your salary into an income machine, following 3 simple steps. Because the secret isn't in working more, but in making your money work for you. Most people make the same mistake. They treat salary as money to spend. They receive it, pay the bills, buy something they wanted, and that's it, it's gone. But Robert Kiyosaki teaches that the first step to building wealth is to completely change this way of thinking. Your salary is not a reward. It's a tool, a seed. And every seed has a purpose, to generate more fruits. When you start looking at your salary with this mindset, everything changes. Instead of thinking, how much can I spend? You start thinking, how can I multiply this? It's a simple mindset shift, but one that separates those who live paycheck to paycheck from those who build financial freedom. From the moment you understand this, money stops being an end and becomes a means to create something bigger, something that keeps growing even when you're not working. Before spending, before paying any bill, there's a decision that completely changes the course of your financial life. Set aside at least 10% of everything you earn. But this money isn't for emergencies, nor for leisure, nor to save for later. This amount has a very specific mission: to build wealth. It's your freedom fund. It's the seed you're going to plant so that one day your money starts working for you. In the beginning, it may seem impossible. You think, but I can barely pay my bills. How am I going to save 10%? But that's where the secret lies. This challenge is the first test of your new mindset. When you commit to saving before spending, you're telling your brain, I am the owner of my money, not the other way around. It's as if each month you're building a brick of your freedom. This fund grows little by little, cent by cent, month after month, until one day it transforms into something much bigger, the foundation of your wealth. Robert Kiyosaki always says that money has emotions. If you treat it with respect and purpose, it tends to multiply. But if you treat it with haste and lack of control, it simply disappears. So, before paying any bill, pay yourself first. This is one of the most powerful rules of financial education. Because when you learn to reward yourself with discipline, money starts to respond differently. From this moment on, your salary stops being just a payment and transforms into an employee that works for you every month, silently, while you build your future. And if you want to continue learning to transform your money into freedom, like this video now and subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss the next videos, and you'll keep advancing on this journey to make your money work for you. In the first months, setting aside this money may seem like a sacrifice. You look at the account and think, I'm going to miss this. But it's exactly there that the transformation begins. The discomfort you feel isn't a sign of loss, it's a sign of growth. It's your brain adapting to a new way of dealing with money. And the more you insist on this habit, the more it starts to work in your favor. It's like going to the gym. At first it hurts, it's difficult, you feel like giving up. But after a while, you start to see the results. And the same happens with finances. As the months go by, you notice that the saved money starts to grow, and your brain becomes more creative. You start to find ways to save without suffering. You discover income opportunities that went unnoticed before, and you understand that wealth isn't about how much you earn. It's about how much you keep and multiply. It's at this point that you stop being just a consumer and become an investor. You start to look at money with different eyes, not as something that comes and goes, but as something that builds, that plants, that brings you closer to freedom. And when you start to feel this, the mindset changes for good. You no longer think about working to pay bills. Now you work to grow, to invest, to build your own empire. Now that you've learned to save part of your salary, it's time to take the next step. Make this money start working for you. This is where your first income machine is born. And it doesn't need to be something gigantic or complex. It can start small, with what you have, the way you can. The important thing is to take the first step. Maybe it's investing in dividend-paying stocks, something simple and accessible. Or maybe opening a small digital business, selling something you know how to do, creating a source of income that works even while you sleep. The goal is to create an asset, something that puts money in your pocket without you having to trade time for it. Robert Kiyosaki always says that the rich think about building systems, while the poor think about working more hours, and that's why the second step is so powerful. Because it's the moment when you switch sides. You stop depending only on work and start depending on the results that your money can generate. It might be a small amount at first, 10, 20, 50 reais in profit. But the important thing isn't the amount, but the learning. When you see your money coming back to you multiplied, something changes inside your mind. You start to understand truly that money is a tool, not an end. This first income machine is your freedom laboratory. It's where you learn, test, fail, succeed, and prepare yourself to build the next ones. It's the first brick of your financial independence. And when you realize that this small seed is already capable of generating fruits, your perspective changes. You understand that you don't need to work more. You need to make your money work better. When you build your first source of income, something powerful happens. You prove to yourself that money can work for you, and that changes everything. At first, the return might be small. Maybe the profit doesn't even pay an electricity bill, but the real value isn't in the money. It's in the experience. It's the moment when you realize for the first time that there's another path, besides working your whole life to pay bills. This small achievement awakens something inside you. You start to think differently, to act differently. Instead of looking for jobs that pay more, you start looking for opportunities that generate more assets. And that's what separates those who live paycheck to paycheck from those who build true financial freedom. When you see your money coming back, even if it's little, it's as if a light turns on. If this small amount can multiply, imagine what I can do if I keep reinvesting. It's at this point that the mindset changes for good. You stop chasing money and start building paths for money to come to you. And when that happens, you understand something that Kiyosaki has been repeating for years. The goal isn't to get rich quick, but to create the habit of making money work. Because financial freedom doesn't start in your pocket, it starts in your mind. The moment you prove to yourself that it's possible to leave the survival cycle and enter the growth cycle. After creating your first money machine and seeing that it works, the next step is simple but powerful. Reinvest the profits to create new sources of income. This is where the magic of compound effect starts to happen. Every cent you reinvest becomes one more brick in building your financial empire. You're not just increasing your money, you're building systems that work on their own. It could be another small business, more stocks, or any asset that keeps generating income while you live your life. At first, it may seem slow. The return might not be huge, but the secret is in consistency. Over time, each money machine you build helps finance the next one, and then growth accelerates. What seemed impossible before starts to become natural. It's at this moment that you reach what Kiyosaki calls financial escape velocity, when assets grow faster than your expenses. From there, you no longer depend on your salary. Money stops being a concern and becomes a tool that allows you to choose how, when, and why to work. Multiplying and scaling is about long-term vision. It's about having patience, discipline, and courage to reinvest, even if it seems safer to spend. Because every time you choose to grow instead of spending, you're closer to true financial freedom. And remember, it's not about quick wealth. It's about building something that keeps growing day after day, month after month, until money works for you, and not the other way around. When your assets start generating more than your salary, everything changes. Suddenly, working stops being a necessity and becomes a choice. You no longer need to wake up every day, rushing against the clock just to pay bills. The fear of money disappears, and in its place emerges a feeling of control and freedom that few people know. At this point, your relationship with work changes radically. You start working for pleasure, for purpose, for growth opportunities, and no longer out of obligation. Money stopped being the boss and became an ally. That's when true financial freedom happens. You can decide if you want to invest in new projects, expand businesses, or simply enjoy life more, without depending on a fixed salary. The stress and pressure of living paycheck to paycheck disappear. Kiyosaki reinforces that this is the moment when you realize the difference between those who work for money and those who make money work for themselves. The rich no longer work. They invest and build systems that continue producing income even when they're resting. And it's precisely this freedom that many people never know, because they spend their whole lives trapped in the survival mindset, without learning to use salary as a tool. When you understand this, you realize that every financial decision, every investment, and every small step taken with discipline counts toward creating your true independence. One point that Kiyosaki makes very clear is that the traditional educational system doesn't prepare anyone for financial freedom. It teaches you to be an employee, to obey rules, to work hard for a salary, but it doesn't teach you to create assets, invest, or make money work for you. That's why most middle-class people remain trapped. They work to spend, buy things they don't need, and believe that money is only for consumption. Meanwhile, the rich think in a completely different way. They spend to grow, not to impress others. They understand that every cent can be used to generate more money. Every investment is a seed that grows, that multiplies, and that eventually produces freedom. Kiyosaki warns, there's no point in following the rule of do what you love if you don't learn to invest in what you love. It's not enough to work with pleasure. You need to have the courage to do what's necessary, even if at first it's difficult or uncomfortable. It's this difference in mindset that separates those who live in the survival cycle from those who live in the prosperity cycle. The big insight is in changing the focus. Stop thinking only about salary and start thinking about assets that generate more money, even while you sleep. It's this strategic vision, not just daily effort, that builds real wealth and allows you to achieve complete financial freedom. True financial freedom is on the right side of the quadrant, business owners and investors. It's these people who manage to create sustainable wealth because their assets generate more money than their expenses. Kiyosaki also warns young people, it's not enough to simply do what you love. It's essential to invest in the assets you love and, at the same time, have the courage to do what's necessary, even if at first it's challenging. It's about thinking strategically, choosing where to put your time and your money, and building sources of income that grow without depending exclusively on your daily effort. The secret is in accumulating assets that work for you, while you continue learning, growing, and enjoying life. Each small investment, each business started, each cent reinvested contributes to creating financial freedom. And it's precisely this mindset of making money work for you that separates those who remain in the survival cycle from those who achieve true prosperity. With this vision, it's clear that it's not how much you earn that matters, but how much you can transform your salary into assets that grow over time. Financial transformation begins when you understand something fundamental. Your salary isn't just money to spend, it's a powerful seed. A seed that, if planted correctly, can grow, multiply, and generate fruits throughout your life. The first step is to change the mindset. Most people see salary as a reward for work done, and that's why they end up spending everything, often on things that don't bring growth or security. But when you change the way you think and start seeing every cent as a wealth-building tool, everything changes. Money stops being an end and becomes a means, an ally that can work for you, not the other way around. The second step is to create the first source of passive income. Here, the secret isn't to get rich quickly, but to provoke a real change in your relationship with money. By setting aside part of your salary and investing in something that generates return, whether dividend-paying stocks, a small digital business, or any other asset, you take the first step to leave the survival cycle. Even if the return is small at first, the impact is enormous. You realize that it's possible to create money without working every hour, without depending exclusively on your effort. This experience changes the mind, opens the eyes, and shows that financial freedom is real and achievable. The third step is to multiply and scale. This is where compound effect comes into play. You take the profits from the first money machine and reinvest, creating new sources of income, each one building the next. This is how the rich really differentiate themselves. While most spend money, they create systems that work on their own, that grow over time and produce freedom. The goal is to reach the point where your assets generate more than your salary. And that's when the fear of money completely disappears. Suddenly, you work by choice, for pleasure, and no longer out of necessity. Furthermore, Kiyosaki reinforces something essential. The traditional educational system teaches you to be an employee, but doesn't teach you to use money to create more money. The middle class remains trapped because they work to spend, while the rich think strategically. They spend to grow, invest in what really matters, and build assets that work even when they're not present. Following these three steps, changing the mindset, creating your first source of passive income, and reinvesting to scale, you can break the survival cycle. You stop depending only on salary and start making money work for you, achieving financial freedom, security, and the opportunity to live life more fully and consciously. In the end, it all comes down to a choice. Continue living like most people, worried only about paying bills, or decide to transform your salary into a true income machine that grows, multiplies, and guarantees long-term freedom. And remember, the journey begins the moment you decide to pay yourself first, before spending, before getting distracted. It's this small step that will open doors to a future of growth, opportunities, and real wealth. Do you know what the biggest obstacle is between you and financial freedom? It's not the size of your salary, but the way you think about it. Most people work hard every day just to pay bills, living paycheck to paycheck without realizing there's another way. The secret isn't in earning more, but in learning to use better what you already earn. Every cent can become a powerful tool, capable of generating more money, as long as you change the way you think. Instead of seeing salary as a reward to spend, start seeing it as a seed. A seed that, planted and cared for, can grow, multiply, and generate fruits even when you're not working. At first, it may seem impossible to set aside part of your money to invest. But this discomfort is a sign that you're on the right path. It's your brain adapting to a new mindset, learning to see money as something that works for you, not just as something that comes in and out of your pocket. Each month that you decide to save and invest part of your salary is like placing a brick in building your financial freedom. When you start investing, even in small amounts, something incredible happens. You prove to yourself that it's possible to create money without needing to work every hour. Maybe the return is small at first, but the experience completely changes your view on money. You start to realize that you don't need to depend only on salary and that you're capable of building assets that grow over time. This learning awakens creativity, discipline, and a new way of seeing opportunities that went unnoticed before. Over time, by reinvesting what you earned, growth starts to accelerate. Each investment transforms into a new brick, which finances the next one. The multiplication of assets creates a kind of domino effect, where each source of income feeds the next. And there comes a point when the money generated by assets exceeds the salary. It's at this moment that the relationship with work changes completely. You work by choice, not by necessity. The fear of money disappears, and a feeling of control and freedom emerges that few people know. The traditional educational system doesn't prepare anyone for this. It teaches you to be an employee, to obey rules, to trade time for money. But it doesn't teach you to create assets, invest, and make money work. That's why the middle class remains trapped. They work to spend, buy things they don't need, and believe that money serves only for consumption. Meanwhile, the rich think differently. They spend to grow, invest in what really matters, and build systems that continue producing income even when they're not present. The key to financial freedom is in changing the mindset and acting strategically. It's not enough to just do what you love. You need to invest in the assets you love, have the courage to face challenges, and persist even when initial results are small. Each financial decision, each cent saved, each investment made with discipline and vision contributes to creating a cycle of continuous growth. When you adopt this mindset, your life changes completely. You stop depending on salary, start seeing money as an ally, and begin working on opportunities that generate real freedom. What was once constant worry transforms into security, choices, and possibilities. And over time, you realize that the true secret of wealth isn't in how much you earn, but in how you manage, multiply, and grow each available resource. In the end, it all comes down to a decision: continue living trapped in the survival cycle, or transform your salary into a true income machine, capable of generating freedom, growth, and long-term financial security. It's a choice that begins the moment you decide to pay yourself first, before spending, before getting distracted. This small initial step is what opens doors to a life of opportunities, prosperity, and financial independence. And now, after understanding all this, it's time to act. Every decision you make with your money today defines your freedom tomorrow. Don't wait another month. Don't wait for your salary to double. Don't wait for the right time. Start now. Because the first step, however small, is always what truly transforms your life. If you're ready to make your money work for you, remember, every cent invested, every financial habit adopted, and every learning applied is a brick in building your future. The power to change is in your hands, and the sooner you start, the faster you'll see results. If this content made sense to you and you want to continue learning how to transform your salary into financial freedom, like this video now and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss the next videos full of tips, strategies, and insights to multiply your money and achieve results you never imagined. The decision is yours. The moment is now. Start transforming your salary into a true income machine and build the freedom you deserve.